Business Advisors. I met Jeff just a short couple months ago, if that even, and I sat in on one of Jeff's webinars that he did covering social media marketing, exactly kind of what he's going to go through here today, really on how to leverage that to use to grow your business. I think everybody on here is a business owner or works for a company in some capacity. And so I know the information he's going to share is going to be super valuable. And the one thing that I really appreciate about Jeff and the way that he presents this information is this isn't necessarily what you are going to do from your business perspective on Facebook and social media, but more so what you can do on a personal level to grow your influence and how you can use it to brand yourself and to build your company and everything. And that's what really caught my attention. As soon as I got off a webinar that Jeff did about 6 weeks ago, I got a hold of him right away and I was like, hey man, this was amazing. We would love for you to do one for us so that we can, record it, we can leverage it, we can get it in as many people's hands as possible, because I think the way that he approaches the social media usage is unlike anything else I've ever seen. I've sat in on other webinars with social media and how to use it for business and stuff, and it's all got a lot of great content, but Jeff really puts it in a perspective that makes a lot of sense. And it also will leave you with some actionable items that you can literally hop off this call or even halfway through the call, as I did last time on the webinar, and start actually implementing some of the stuff that Jeff's going to talk about. I could go on and on about accolades and everything he's involved with. But all around, Jeff's an amazing guy. He's got a lot of great content, and I'm not going to take up any more of the time. I'm going to turn it over to him and get us kicked off here. So Jeff, I will turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Before we get started, Len, I'd like a sandwich. So if you don't mind, if you can make me one too, that'd be awesome. Just kidding. I saw what you were doing. It's all good. All right. I'm going to share my screen here. So you guys let me know when you can see it, and we will get started. And I was just telling Chris, I'm in Arnold right now at my office. It's dumping here. It's like raining sideways. So for those of you in Southern Illinois, you're about ready to get it. It's coming. If you're in Edwardsville-ish, you're not getting it. I just looked at the radar. It's not going to hit you. It's going south of you. So, all right. Can you see my screen? Can you see is it a full screen, Chris? Good. Yep. Okay, cool. All right. So as Chris mentioned, I think the way I deliver this message, it's become a very common message. And I think the reason why I've gained quote unquote popularity or celebrity status is because of how I'm doing it. And how I'm doing it is I'm actually executing it. So a lot of times you hear speakers, you hear, especially in our industry. So I'll preface by saying I'm in the mortgage industry. I speak to the real estate industry 98% of the time, which is a swim upstream for me. It's me getting to my client, to where my client is calling me. They want me. And anybody who understands our industry knows that that's very difficult to do, because mortgage professionals are looked at as like demons to the real estate world, because all we want is them to send us business. I figured out a way to get my audience, my referral partner, to call me by becoming an expert at something. And this is really it. And so what I do, like I said, a lot of coaches in a lot of industries, they're really just good speakers. They're just good. They're good at blowing smoke up people's asses. And excuse my language, I'll drop a bomb here and there when I'm passionate, but they don't actually execute. And that's what I do. And what I'm going to tell you today and what I'm going to show you today might surprise you a little bit, because you might be thinking, well, I want to grow my business, so I'm assuming I need to do all things business. And I'm going to tell you actually quite the contrary. And we're going to talk about that. And this is kind of a quote that I didn't really intend to come up with, but I said this a few years ago when somebody was interviewing me, and I said, you have to shift your mindset, as in you as an entrepreneur, as you as a business owner, no matter what it is you do or what it is you sell, you are the brand of you. It doesn't matter if you're selling, if you're in mortgages, or you're in real estate, or you're in insurance, or you're selling financial planning, or you're in some sort of contracting. I noticed there's at least one painter on here. You are your brand. You are selling yourself. People want to do business. They're not going to, gone are the days of looking up the yellow pages and saying, I'm going to call this company. Now it's all about the digital world, and people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. And you now have an opportunity in this digital age to be the billboard that was 10 years ago. To be the ad on the grocery cart that was 10 years ago, to be the bus bench that was when people rode buses. It's the new world, and it's so much bigger and so much broader, but understanding how to play the game is extremely important. And that's what we're going to touch on today. But the first shift of your mindset is understanding that you as a human being are a media company, and you need to create content around your life to brand your life. In other words, give your audience what they want when they go to social media. And it's not your business. I promise you that. So first things first, I'm going to start with a couple of slides just kind of about who I am. And I'm going to fly through this. The point of this is, because this will mean nothing to any of you, this is all real estate related stuff. But all of this has come about as a result of video and social media. I started doing video about 5 years ago, before it was as common as it is today, and doing it at a unique level. And I got found. I took a lot of criticism as well, because a lot of people said, you're too off the wall. Why aren't you talking about mortgages? But I can't say that I had the foresight and knew that I was doing the right things. I just had a hunch. And I just felt like, look, people are going to my Facebook feed, because back then it was really predominantly Facebook. I knew that they engaged my stuff when I included my kids. I know they engaged my stuff when I showed my travel, when I shared my life. And it was just kind of trial and error, and just realizing, what does my audience want? So it got me invited to some very high level masterminds, which got me included into some very big real estate groups. I'm a big part of the #1 Facebook real estate group called Lab Coat Agents. There's over 125,000 members. It's a massive group. And I'm in that almost daily, at very least weekly. So think about that. Imagine if you in your industry could be in a Facebook group where you have your audience, your specific audience, and you get to get seen all the time. And you're leveraged as a quote unquote celebrity, as an authority. And that's what I've done. And it's led to other opportunities with other organizations, that some of them are listed here, which has then led to, I was actually named by the platform called BombBomb. BombBomb's a video software for email. And they name their top 30 video influencers in real estate every year across the United States and Canada. And I was named as a top 5 video influencer on education, on sales education. In other words, on video education, which was a really, really cool honor. This was in 2019. And so that's the most recent one. They don't announce 2020 till later in the year, but that was really awesome and really validating for me. It has since led to being involved with another group called Brand Builders, another Facebook group. This is one that I will give you just a second. If you're in any kind of industry and you're interested in growing a brand, this is not industry specific. I encourage you to go join this group. It's on Facebook. It's called Brand Builders. There's no cost. It's just free content. I'm one of 5 moderators. And I was asked by really 2 guys that are my mentors, who are like social media ninjas, to be a part of this group, because they said, you bring so much value. We want you in this group. And so I was honored to do that. And I encourage you, because it's not just real estate. It's probably more than 50% real estate. But that's because all of our backgrounds are in real estate. But it's across all industries. It's a great group to stay way ahead on next level stuff on social media. Also, in the last 6 months, we founded a school called the Business Video School. I'm actually going to give you guys some access to some of that if you want it. I don't really sell anything, but if there's anything that I'm most passionate about, it's video. You need this in your business. I don't care who you are. You need to be doing more video in your business. It's what the world is going to, and I'm going to touch on that here in a little bit. And then actually coming up, this wasn't in my last presentation, Chris, I've been invited. This is a new platform that's coming out. I think it comes out in August or September, called Social Coach. And it's going to be an app where it's basically, I'm going to be one of the original coaches. There's like 5 of us, and we are literally, it's like coaching. That was thunder right there. It's going to be, we're coaching clients on content. And so we get a lot of people that say, I don't know what to post. And so people will be able to sign up for this. And you'll have an app on your phone where I'll be able to deliver you prompts every single day telling you what to post, or giving you suggestions on what to post. So it's pretty neat. I'm pretty excited about that. It's still in infancy. It hasn't even started yet, but it's going to be neat. It's all going to be based on an app, and then you're going to be able to track your data. So you're going to know how posts are doing. I'm going to be able to track it. I'm going to be able to hold you accountable. It's really cool. Whether or not that's any relevance to any of you, I don't know, but that's one of the things I'm doing. So let's get into, well, first, let me give you this. I'm going to show this slide a couple of times. If you are, if you're doing video, or you feel like you need a better video, or you want to learn more about video, follow the Business Video School. This is a place. So if you do this, if you text "learn video," no spaces, no nothing on the text, just "learn video" to that number, you'll get 14 days of free video tips, and then you'll basically be invited into our Facebook group. If you want to pay to be a member, you can, but there's plenty of free stuff. So I encourage anyone who wants to get more into video to go follow that group. Business Video School is the Facebook group. The website is called bizvideoschool.com. So check it out. All right. Enough about me, enough about sales. Let's talk about the purpose of social media. And I don't want to take this for granted. So I really break it down to the basics because what I find is that most of the audiences that I speak to, they don't think of social media like I think of it. And how I think of it is it's like the biggest part of my business. And the goal is to create omnipresence. You know, you want to be visible all the time. If you're visible all the time, you're going to be remembered all the time. And then you have an exponential audience. You know, like it's still prevalent today, but networking groups. I think a lot of you guys probably are part of a networking group, which is still fine and it's great. But you go to a networking event, you're limited on time and resources as to how many people you can actually touch and how many people you can actually have an impact on. If you took that same effort and focused it on social media to posting content every single day and sharing more of your life, your omnipresence can grow exponentially. You're going to get seen by so many more people. And you don't even have to be talking about what you're selling. You can be subliminally selling yourself like I do by wearing hats every day, by wearing t-shirts that tell my audience what I do. And yes, I sprinkle in business content, but for the most part, I just want the omnipresence. And one thing I will say about social media, and I'll probably mention this a few times, is that it's all driven by algorithms. And so I've been saying this a lot lately is when someone opens a Facebook or Instagram or YouTube app, they're not going there to find a painter. They're not going there to find a real estate agent. They're not going there to find Chris. They're going there for mindless content. And so give that to them. So in other words, the algorithm strictly operates off your engagement. So if you're consistently posting stuff and your posts are getting 1, 2, 3 likes, no comments, no shares, the algorithm says, okay, people don't like this stuff, and you become a relative graveyard on social media. But if you post content that is actually interesting to your audience, like for example, kids, pets, your passions, your hobbies, things like that, you'll find you'll get a heck of a lot more audience. And the byproduct of that is the algorithm says, okay, the audience likes Jeff's posts. I'm going to make sure Jeff gets seen more often. And ironically, I just did a post yesterday. I was introduced to somebody. I don't even know where the guy's at. I don't even know who the guy is. He's in some tech company, introduced by a real estate agent in San Diego who says, I need to connect you to Jeff because he might be a really good influencer or affiliate for your platform. I still don't know what it is. But the guy's comment to me, this is through Facebook Messenger, was he goes, Jeff, great to meet you. I see you everywhere. I don't even know who the hell this guy is. He's never commented on my post before, which is very common. He's a ghost follower. But I get that all the time. I hear comments like, I see you everywhere, or I feel like I already know you, or even creepy comments like, man, your wife, Sarah, is so cool. And I'm like, who the hell are you? And how do you know my wife? And then I have to stop and think, well, duh, because I post a lot of stuff about my family. Everybody knows my 19-month-old daughter because she is one of my biggest pieces of content because she's entertaining and it's fun. And so you got to think about it as people get to know and like me. And so if I'm out there talking about what Fannie Mae is doing or what the latest guideline is on a mortgage program, you're not going to follow me because that's not interesting. But if I'm showing you watching my daughter doing something cute or funny or her just giggling, you stop and you watch and you engage. And now I've got you in my web. And that's the goal here. And I'm not even selling you anything. I just want you to follow me because you like me. So the goal of this is parasocial relationships. This is a term that a lot of people don't understand what it means. I'll tell you exactly what it means. It's a one-sided relationship where one person extends emotional energy, interest, and time, and the other party doesn't even know they exist. And I kind of teed that up perfectly on accident, but that's exactly what it is. My audience, by and large, I don't know them, but they know me. And that's the point. And you can think of it like a character in a book. Right? If you're a reader, you kind of sometimes grow a relationship with the main characters in the book, or like this Harry Potter meme, I feel like Harry Potter is my real friend. Or for me, I felt like Maverick from Top Gun. We were like boys, but he doesn't know who the hell I am, but I've watched the movie 10 million times. It's the same concept today in social media. And if you use it the same way, you become that celebrity. And for me, a couple of years ago, it was weird to say that. I've learned to embrace it because it's just the reality. And that's what you want to be. You want to be the digital mayor of your community, of your business, of your audience. So the strategy is very simple. It's consistency. Literally, this has evolved, and I usually have told my audiences, I've been speaking on this for a couple of years now, and this has evolved to where I usually tell people, look, if you're just getting into social media, I don't expect you to go every day, go from nothing to every day or once a month to every day, but get in the habit of posting more often. Get in the habit of just sharing more of your life. That's what your stories are for on these platforms, and we're going to talk more about that. I already mentioned a kind of rule of thumb on content. 80-20 is what I say. There is no scientific facts to this. I just prefer, and I'm probably less than this, I'm probably about 90% authentic personal content and about 10% business, because I don't need to anymore. And I prefer just to be seen more often. Bring value. Excuse the train going by in the background if that's loud. But bring value. And by value, I mean, you know, bring education to your audience. You know, like for example, if you are a real estate agent, and again, I use these analogies a lot, so bear with me. But if somebody sends an email to a realtor, like a real client, and says, hey, I don't understand what escrow is. Like, I would take that question. First of all, I would respond and give my client the answer, but I would then take that and make it a social media post. This is a great opportunity to go to social media and say, you know, I had a question from a client today about what is escrow. So I thought I would do a video and tell my audience, for those of you who don't understand it, let me explain what it means in layman's terms. And you could do that for any industry, because there's so many things that you do that only professionals understand and the commenter doesn't. And then, of course, entertainment is pretty easy to explain. If you're not a goofy, funny person, you can always just share other people's goofy, funny stuff. That's an easy way to do it. Teaching is another thing. Everybody has passions, whether it's beer drinking and fishing and hunting or crocheting. It doesn't matter. Everybody has hobbies. Share more about it, because, you know, basically, if you do something a lot, you are an authority on the topic, whether you like it or not. Like, I'm into, you know, my wife and I eat very healthy. We're not full on vegan, but we eat very healthy, and we eat less meat than the average human. So I share a lot of our dietary goals and what we do. I'm also into fitness, and I set some crazy goals. I'm not a dietitian, and I'm not a trained trainer. But because I do it, I know I do it at a high level, because my audience has reached out to me and says, you inspired me to lose weight. It inspires me to put out more content about it. So those are my passions. So it's very easy for me to talk about running. It's very easy for me to talk about working out. It's very easy for me to do a video on my latest workout to share with my audience. And those are the kind of things I'm talking about. Cooking's another one. That sucks people in every single time. If you're good in the kitchen, create more videos around it. And then I've already mentioned share. It's really actually easy. As you're learning to build your own pillars of content, just share other people's content. That's easy enough. Give people credit, but share. That's the whole idea. You to be seen, because you got to remember, even if it was me, let's just say you're in the mortgage business and you struggle with content, but you like my content and you share my stuff. The average person thinks, well, I'm promoting you, Jeff. That's not true. Because for the most part, your audience sees who shared it. They see who delivered the value. They're not going to look at it and say, well, I'm just going to go around my person and go to Jeff. It doesn't work that way most of the time. Most of the time, it's just very simply who shared it with me. That's the person I'm going to thank. And frankly, if you see something that's really good, just make it your own. Just twist it and tweak it and make it your own. What social media shouldn't be is a rabbit hole. And I get this all the time. And if it is a rabbit hole, that's on you. And I have no problem calling you out. If you go to social media and lose an hour of your day watching mindless content, that's what your audience is doing too. Remember, you need to become the one delivering the content, not the one soaking it up, right? And that's what social media is to most people. It's a rabbit hole. For me, it's a strategy. So I do go to social media and lose an hour, but I lose an hour watching content, getting ideas, maybe sharing content, creating other content. And that's the way you got to look at social media. Gary Vee says it best, document, don't create. So whenever anybody says to me, I really struggle with coming up with content, Gary Vee, if you guys don't know who Gary Vaynerchuk is, he's like the OG. He's like the godfather of social media. He's the godfather of vlogging. He's raw and he's rough, but he's brilliant. And whether you like him or not, he is the OG. He's the one who really is the original guy who's been doing all these things I'm now doing, and a lot of others are doing as well. And when he says document, don't create, he means just turn the camera around on what you're doing in your life. It's more interesting to your audience than you actually realize. And so just do that. Just do more of that. So let's talk about the platforms. I'm going to go in a deep-ish dive on 4 out of these 5. Obviously, everybody knows Facebook. If you don't know Facebook and you're not on Facebook, I question why you're here, because it's like the original platform, right? And it's also the platform that's kind of waning. It's actually kind of dying. So don't think to yourself, oh crap, I'm not even doing anything on Facebook, let alone these other platforms. There's still plenty of time. There's still a lot of people in your shoes, but the youth of America, the best predictors of what's coming in social media. Remember, Facebook started as a college app, and now it's inundated by us boomers, as my kids like to call me. And so Facebook will always be relevant because it's owned by Mark Zuckerberg, who also owns Instagram. However, Instagram is the next level. So understanding, if you understand how to play the game on Facebook, it's very easy to understand the game on Instagram because they both talk to each other, and it's easy to cross post content to each platform. But you need to be on Instagram because that's where the audiences are going. Then also LinkedIn is a business platform. I don't go into that today because it's pretty simple, but it's a good platform that's more business related content. I don't share personal content there. I only share business content there, but it's a different breed of people that are there looking for a different breed of content. And so it's a good place to be. It's underrated. It still has a lot of easy growth because it's not inundated like Facebook is, like YouTube is, like Instagram. And then, of course, YouTube. You've all heard of YouTube. YouTube is long-form video content. So unless you're going to get into the long-form video game, YouTube's not a place I would necessarily be, but YouTube is the future of our world. YouTube is the future of TV. It is going to replace cable TV in the next 5 years. It will be more watched than cable TV is, or satellite TV. And so having a presence on YouTube, getting familiar with it now, for those of you that want to get on there, it's extremely important. And you can create tons of YouTube content like without a professional editor. It can just be vlog type content. It could be you showing what you do for a living. You'd be surprised because we all know it. Every single one of you on this call has probably Googled something at one point, questioning how to do something, and it took you to a YouTube video. Why? Because Google owns YouTube. Google's the number one search engine. YouTube's the number two. Where do you want to be seen? And so YouTube's a great place to be, and understanding how to use it. And I'm going to show you some examples later. And then the new kid on the block is TikTok. If you haven't heard of it, it is next level. It is the Instagram of 5 years ago. It's the Facebook of 10 years ago. TikTok is the next level of social media. And I can't say it's for everybody. I absolutely love it. It's a great content creation app. It's still, the audience is the majority, probably 60 to 70% in the United States is under 20, but it's rapidly growing on age, and especially since the pandemic. And so it's going to be a very relevant platform. If you don't bite into it now, and 2 years from now, remember this webinar, because you're going to say, damn it, that guy told me I should have got on TikTok then, and I didn't. And now here we are 2 years later. And really the only reason I suggest getting on it is less about creating content. Although if you can learn it and understand it, it's a valuable asset, but just kind of becoming familiar with it. Because Instagram is copying TikTok, by the way, and it's coming in early 2021. So just having familiarity with it is really important. So I pretty much dominate all 5 of them. And by dominate, I mean I post on the regular. I post a lot of content to all 5. But I realize that's not for everyone. So my opinion is, if you're relatively new to this game, focus on dominating 2 platforms. It's really easy to do Facebook and Instagram, as I already mentioned, because they talk to each other, because they're owned by the same, Facebook owns Instagram. So I encourage you to really focus on dialing in, putting on a lot of content to 2 platforms, because once you get good at it, once it becomes the norm for you, it becomes a hell of a lot easier to then integrate in another platform. It gets much easier to move to LinkedIn, much easier to move to TikTok, because you already have a good grasp on what you're doing. And a lot of times I just cross post on all of the platforms, the same content, or I'll cut it up. I'll do different things with different platforms, but just focus on 2. And I've already mentioned this, and I'm going to mention it again. Video is absolutely critical, is a critical component to social media. It's not the only component, but it's an integral component. Going live on Facebook or Instagram helps your algorithm. It helps your visibility because the platform wants you to go live. And so just getting comfortable with that, getting comfortable in front of the camera is critical. And here's some statistics that kind of drive that home. 85% of internet users in the United States watched online video content monthly on any of their devices. 85%. That's today. Imagine what that's going to be 5 years from now. The growing popularity of video. Internet users spend 6 hours, 48 minutes per week watching videos online. 6 hours, basically an hour a day, an hour a day. Wouldn't it be cool if most of the time they opened up one of their apps, they're consistently seeing you? Doesn't matter what you do. That's pretty powerful. Video marketing as a lead generation channel. Video marketers get 66% more qualified leads. I think I know why that is. It's because your audience gets the opportunity to know you without actually knowing you. So they already have that warmth. They can hear your tonality. They can see your emotions. That's why video marketing works. The power of video purchasing decisions. 8 out of 10 people have purchased a piece of software or app. Really, that applies to anything after watching a brand's video. I think obviously it's very important. It doesn't matter what you're selling. If you're selling a service, it's the same concept. And then lastly, the videos roll internet traffic. In 2022, 82% of global internet traffic will come from video streaming and downloads. 82%. That's 2022. By 2025, I don't know how that's not going to be close to 100%. And so embracing video, getting over how you look and how you sound and how you feel about it, you've just got to push that aside. If you want to be relevant, if you want to take your game to another level, get comfortable shooting video, get comfortable in front of the camera. And just as an example, my wife has been on accident becoming kind of an influencer in the workout space. She subscribes to this thing called Beachbody, and it's like a pyramid scheme. So I hate it for that reason. But accidentally, because she posts a lot, she's getting a lot of people asking her questions. And now she's creating this downline line. It's so funny because obviously I'm kind of a savant with social media. And I keep telling her, you should keep growing your influence. It's amazing. And she does these videos where she like, I forget the name of it, but we all have it on our phone to where it basically shoots it. You shoot it and it puts it in super speed or like hyper speed. So like if I was a painter, for example, I would get in the habit of videoing myself on jobs and kind of showing little techniques or showing how a job went from looking like this to looking like that. Because that's the kind of stuff that the content on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, that people will consume. And then they'll remember you because they'll see your work and they'll see you've done it and you've entertained them. Because believe it or not, I mean, I'm not into cooking at all, but I'll sit and watch a cooking video because it sucks me in. I would probably sit and watch a video just like that, a transformation of a room, whether it's, like a rehab or like I said, painting. There's so many ways you could go with this. And it's actually relatively easy. You just got to learn some basic techniques with video. So I'm going to go deep on a few of these platforms, like I mentioned. And Facebook, I try to breeze through because I assume you already all know about Facebook, but I'm just going to drive this home. There's basically 3 places on Facebook. There's personal, there's business, and there's groups. Personal is personal. Like I don't have to tell you what to do there. Share your life. Practice your video. You can screw up. You can have you can drop your phone. It doesn't matter. It's personal. So you can get away with anything. In fact, bloopers are the funniest anyway. So sharing your life and just documenting that is really important. It's about family. It's about kids and pets. It's about travel, interests, hobbies. I've already mentioned this, but I'm just driving it home. If you ever struggle with it, I always go back to the 4 F's. When anybody says, I don't know what to create content around, I'm like, do you have a family? Yes. Okay, there's one. Do you eat? Yes. Okay, there's another. Are you a female? And I'm not going to just say all females here because I actually am somewhat into fashion, but I know there's not a day that goes by that my wife she's not on her phone looking at something fashion related. Like that is a big thing for females. Are you into fashion? Then share it. Do makeup tutorials, do hair, fashion. It doesn't matter. People are interested in that stuff, even if you're not an expert. And then, of course, I already mentioned fitness. That's a popular one. There's my family. If you ever follow me on any social media platform, you probably already feel like you know some of them. Actually, my oldest daughter is 20 now and just moved to LA, and she's working in the social media world. She's actually becoming an influencer herself, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, there's business pages. Business pages are graveyards. I'm not going to make any bones about it. Facebook has adjusted the algorithm to where your posts on your business pages do not get seen for the most part because they want you to pay to play. But you have to have a business page if you're ever going to run a targeted ad, if you're ever going to boost a post, if you're ever going to, try to shoot it out to a targeted audience. And if you're not in real estate, you probably have a bit of an advantage there. Real estate is obviously been cracked down on. So they limit like what triggers you can choose. But in a lot of other industries, you can choose various keywords to target certain audiences. So understanding that and using that to your advantage is also very important. But that's why you have a business page. You have it to basically to differentiate yourself, to brand yourself, because nowadays when people see you, or let's just say your neighbor gives a recommendation to the painter, a lot of times nowadays, the first things people do to go stalk you is they go to Facebook. And so just having content and having relevance there, that's like your yellow pages. That's the place people go now. They don't go to the Better Business Bureau. They go to Facebook to see how relevant you are, to see how much they like you, to see if you have examples, to see if you have a personality. That's what they do. So have an existence there. That's just an example of what our cover photo looks like. But as you can see, I don't speak mortgage very often. And you can even see my tagline is more than just mortgages. So I'm trying to speak to a real estate audience. Hey, I have a really awesome marketing department that can do print marketing for you and creative design. And I'm really good at social media, so I can help you do branding. And I'm a video expert. So I dialed in on what I'm good at, and I just throw it in there. So when somebody does go to that page, they know that I'm not just going to bore them with mortgages. And then lastly, groups. Groups is where Facebook wants you to be. And you can design a group around literally anything. And there's two really different types of groups, in my opinion. There's very specific interest groups. So we can go back to the 4 F's, but we're talking about entertaining, teaching, inspiring, fun, local. I'm going to show you some examples here. So this first one here that I showed first, the BRMC, is Boca Raton Moms Connect. This is a friend of mine in Boca Raton, Florida. She's like, she is the queen of Facebook groups. All of her business comes from Facebook groups. She started this moms group. It's got like 20,000 members in it, all moms. She moderates it. She controls it. She doesn't let any realtors in it because anytime moms, as you know, if you're a mom or if you're married to a mom or you have a mom, you know that moms like to talk about mom stuff. They like to talk about, their kids. They like to talk about, food, or they like to talk about fashion, or they like to talk about design. Right? And so that's what these groups are all about. So invariably, when somebody in a group like this has a question about real estate or they're selling a home, who do you think they turn to? They turn to Nikki, all because she created a group that had some interests that people wanted to be a part of. If she made it a real estate group, she wouldn't have 20,000 people. I promise you that. She made a group about a specific interest, and then she positioned herself as the expert inside that group. Brilliant. Starving St. Louisan is actually something I haven't even done yet, but it's something I'm going to do. Where it's going to be a Facebook group. It's going to be a page designed to basically showcase St. Louis restaurants. It's going to be fun. I'm going to get to go places and probably eat for free. And I'm going to do videos about the restaurants, showcasing them. I'm not going to talk about mortgages, but I'm going to get seen and get known. And I would bet anything we're going to get a lot of followers on that page because it'll be interesting. And we're going to be showcasing restaurants. Anybody could do this. A friend of mine in Minneapolis has one already called the Hungry Minnesotan. Just as an example, TikTok. I've got a friend who's got a Facebook group built around TikToking your business. It's another good one that you can go follow if you want to learn more about TikTok. He just teaches people how to use the app and why to use it and the examples of how to use it. There is a group for everything. The last group that I love the most is Digital Mayor. So this is another interest one, but anybody can do this. So if you live in Edwardsville or you live in Arnold or Imperial or St. Charles or Wentzville or Swansea, it doesn't matter, right? Build a group around your community. And you're not going to have millions of followers. You might only have a couple hundred, but it's going to be a hyper-focused, hyper-local group of people that you're delivering content to all about the community. That's something that if I lived in a community, I would probably like that page because I know it's going to be my resource. And then again, invariably, because you're the person sharing it, because you're the person in the videos, guess who they're going to think of when they need whatever service it is you provide. So it's about local events happening, school info, sports, political updates, weather, business spotlights, which is the key, just anything relevant to the community. We actually have one. I have a loan officer and a real estate agent who formed one in Columbia, Illinois called Columbia Highlights. Some of you may have even seen this if you live in Southern Illinois, but it's a Facebook group all around Columbia. And I always encourage people to go check it out because it's a local example. There's better ones. They have been inconsistent, but they still do a pretty good job of sharing. It's a great example of what a local community page is all about and how you can become a digital mayor. In other words, when you do this over the period of time, this is all long game stuff. When you walk into the grocery store and you're recognized, that's when you know you're winning. That's exactly what you're going for here. Here's another example, and I'm going to go a little deeper on this later. This is what the guy I call the godfather of the digital mayor strategy. His name's Kyle Whistle. He's a real estate agent in San Diego, California, and he's literally built his business around this strategy. And he's built several of these pages. This one's called Everything East County, which is a county in San Diego, and it's all about food. Food wins almost every time. And so it's really cool. I'll share that with you. The second type of group that you can create is business related. So you can be very specific. So again, as you guys know, I've mentioned it before, what I'm into, right? So Real Estate Mastery is my group. That's a group designed for real estate agents. And it's designed to share content and marketing strategies. I don't let you in if you're not in real estate. So if the painter on here tries to get into Real Estate Mastery, unless they just tell me, hey, I just want to watch, I'm not letting you in because you're not my audience, right? Lab Coat Agents, I already mentioned, it's a massive real estate group. Viral Video is another group that we created all around video. So it's all for real estate agents to share their video masterpieces that they've created or ask questions on anything video related. And I already told you about Brand Builders. So those are just examples of business related, but you could literally create a group around anything. It doesn't matter if you have 25 followers. It's 25 people that chose to be there who are going to become your raving fans. I literally created groups around my fitness goals, and I've had 200 followers. Not big, right? But it's 200 people that chose to be there because they wanted to follow my journey. And I guarantee you the majority of that audience, if I ask them, what do I do for a living? They know. They know because they already enjoy following me. And that's kind of the importance of it. So then it increases the likelihood of them remembering me when they need to take out a mortgage. Same concept for your business. Let's move over to Instagram. So Instagram, I'm going to get a little bit more basic because I usually assume that less people have familiarity with Instagram. So we're just going to go over some basic do's and don'ts on Instagram. Instagram originally was designed for a visual stimulation. It was less about Facebook, less drama because it's less wordy. Now, that's changed a little bit because Instagram is evolving, but Instagram is visual consistency. Tell stories and captions, which is the part that I said changed a little bit. It's very hashtag driven. Facebook is not hashtag driven. If you know what a hashtag is, it's a search tool, right? It's a directory. It's how you find something that you're looking for. And it's how you get yourself found by using hashtags. I never use them on Facebook. I use about 10 to 15 per post on Instagram. You can use up to 30 on your feed, up to 10 on your stories. Post videos, duh, I've already mentioned this, but the same applies to Instagram. Embrace tools. I think I mentioned this about Facebook. Facebook whenever a platform puts an emphasis on their tools, whenever they say, hey, I've got this new tool, filters and GIFs and all this stuff, they're basically saying use it. Because if you use it, we're going to get you more visible. So use their stuff. And I recommend having a professional account on Instagram. It's not like Facebook in that it's a business account. You can only have one Instagram and you can share both personal and business content. But I just recommend the professional account because it connects to your business page on Facebook, which means when you run ads, if you run ads on Facebook, you're also automatically running the ad on Instagram. So you're just hitting more eyeballs that way. That's why I recommend that. Don'ts. This is for some reason when Instagram started, people like to use creative names for their usernames. Like, they would use I have a loan officer, her name was Caribbean Girl at Heart. And I'm like, Stephanie, that was her name. Like, how in the hell are people going to find you? Like, isn't the point that people find you? How in the hell are they going to know to type in Caribbean Girl at Heart? They're never going to know that. So try to use your name or some variation of name or your name combined with your industry or what you do for a living. That's important because, again, remember, if you're on this webinar because you want to grow your brand. You want to grow your business through social media. So use it intentionally. Don't do something personal. It's about business. It's using personal content to grow your business, but make yourself easily findable. Don't set your profile to private. So again, I think you've kind of gotten the message here, but if you're a private person and you don't want to share your life, everything that I'm teaching you today is kind of thrown out the window. It's kind of moot. And I'm frankly, and I have no problem saying this, I have an advantage over you. If that's how you are, good, because my stuff's going to get seen more than your stuff. Because if you're a private person, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not knocking that down. If you are, you are. That's okay. This is just not probably for you. And then don't post without captions. I call it like it is. Don't be lazy. You have to tell a story. If you post a picture, tell your audience what it's about. Why are you sharing it? What importance does it have? It's important to do that. And then of course, comments, and this applies to all platforms. Remember, the name of the game is the algorithm. The name of the game is being seen more often. The name of the game is getting more engagement so you get seen more often. Well, the way you can increase your engagement is by always engaging your audience. So if somebody takes the time to comment, whether it's with emojis or with a comment or a question, always give them love back 100% of the time. And if you want to overachieve, get them to engage more. So ask a question because remember, you're playing a relative game here. It's the game of engagement. You're playing the algorithm game. You want to get seen more often, and you want the algorithm to think that you're really popular. And the more comments you get, the more popular they think you are. So get people to comment on your stuff. And then on Instagram, it's called IGTV. It's actually kind of built into the platform now. So you're on your story, on your stories on Instagram, the videos are only 15 seconds. You can post a 2-minute video, but it's going to break it into 15-second increments, which is actually kind of cool, but I won't go into that right now. Your feed, it plays up to a minute video, and then IGTV is longer than a minute. Nowadays, when you post a video over a minute, it automatically asks you, is this an IGTV video? You just click yes. And then when the video gets to a minute, it'll give them a button to click to say, watch the full video. So it just automatically does it. There's a lot of different things you can play around with. I do some advanced courses on Instagram. If anybody ever is interested in that, I'm happy to do it. But this is kind of a just general overview. The other thing that I will point out is, you know, your bio on Instagram is your SEO. It's your search engine optimization. You know, like if you have a profile on Google, the whole point is you want to get found. Well, it's the same thing on Instagram. So your bio is your SEO. What do you want to be known for? So let people know what you do. And if you have any accolades of any kind, whether you can embellish them or not, you put them there because you want to look like you're really cool. You want people to find you. So if somebody sees a post, some random person that you've never met, what they usually do, and you probably find you do this too, if I see a post and I'm like, wow, that's really badass, I'm going to go stalk this person. I'm going to see who they are. And I click on their profile. Well, that's what's going to sell somebody and bring them in. And so frankly, in my case, you know, I want to draw them in. So I want to let you know, hey, I'm kind of a badass. You want to follow me. I'm a video influencer. I'm a podcast host, blah, 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 blah. Give them a website link, give them a place to go. That's kind of the idea. It's really hard to grow your audience here. And so giving people a reason is important. I'm also going to show you how you can adjust to a professional account. So if you're in Instagram and you have a personal account, this is how you do it. You go to your profile, you click the little sandwich there at the top right, which opens up this page. Then you want to click on settings, and from there it'll take you to this page. Then you want to click on account. And by the way, this is being recorded, so if you're missing all this, you can go back and watch it. Then you'll take you here where you can switch to, it'll say switch to professional account. Mine says switch to personal because I'm already professional, but this is where you do it. It also gives you the ability to track analytics, which is really awesome. Instagram is really badass in the sense that you can track analytics of your posts, see how you're doing. It's very, very helpful. So you can track and see what your audience wants to see. So that's how you do that. Let's move over real quickly to stories. Stories is kind of where it's at. Stories is where the social media platforms are going. Instagram announced recently that stories are actually going to be a part of your main feed. I think it already started, but it's going to become a bigger and bigger part of your main feed because the social media platforms have been inundated with businesses, right? And so what the social media platforms are saying is, we don't want people vacating our platforms because there's a bunch of used car salesmen. No disrespect to any used car salesman on this webinar, but it has a bad mystique, right? And so I use it for that reason. But the platforms don't want a bunch of people just inundating people's feeds with a bunch of business because it's cramming it down their throat. People don't want that. That's not why they went there. So they're starting to change the platform to encourage more authentic content. When I read this a few months ago, I was just like, boom, I'm way out ahead of that because I believe that. And stories is the great place to do it. If any of you remember on Facebook, like 5 years ago, you could go to your Facebook feed and you could see what people are eating for dinner. I don't know about you, but that used to annoy me. I was like, gosh, I don't really care what you're eating for dinner. I don't care, those little intricacies of your life. Well, that's what your stories are designed for. So now here I am, Mr. Hypocrite, sharing what I eat, but I'm not doing it on my feed. I'm doing it on my stories because your stories, think about it. It's a story. You're telling the story of your life. And by story, you're sharing what you're doing every single day. So if you follow people and you don't make a habit of going to stories, start doing it. Go start spending more time in your stories and seeing what people are sharing, and you start doing the same thing. I'm telling you right now, this is what Instagram is putting a huge emphasis on. So you want to be relevant in that space. And it's just like your feed, except it's a little bit more intuitive, using GIFs, using animated features, using tags and hashtags and engaging and driving activity. You can use polls and calls to actions, and you can ask questions. Again, I'm not going to get deep on this today. But that's what you do. Vomit your life, man. I say it right there. That's the whole point. You can vomit your life on your stories and you save the profound stuff, like the really cool post, that's for your feed. And that should probably only be once a day. But your stories, man, you could literally go 50 times a day. I wouldn't care. Wouldn't matter. It's probably a bit much, but 5 to 10 is realistic. There are days that I do that. And so what I'm going to show here real quick is, this is just an example. This is a picture. So if you didn't know where your stories are, you can see the video. It's scrolling there at the top. So when you go to Instagram, those are your stories at the top. And then you click on a story, and this is what it looks like. The first one was my wife. You can see what people are doing. There, somebody shared food, and there I'm engaging it. So I'm just kind of showing you what it looks like. This is just a quick little snip overview of what you'll see on stories, and it's just random stuff, business and personal. You notice that out of all the stuff I showed, three food posts, all random. So just make a more cognizant effort to pay attention to that. I've already mentioned that, so I'm going to breeze through this. Your feed is different than your stories. Tell a story when you post something on your feed. It's all visually stimulating. Share multiple photos. People love to look at photos. Use hashtags. And then, drive engagement. So tell people to tag people who need it, that sort of thing. And you'll see that. And here's an example of what that looks like. So let's click play here. So this now is my story. So I'm sorry, my feed. The story was at the top. This is your feed. So if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, this is what I'm talking about. Stories are the top. The feed is the rest of it. And if you notice when I was scrolling there actually was a place where it had my stories in there. It's already starting, and so stories are becoming an important part of Instagram. And I'll show you an example. So this is just one day. This is actually back in like March, but this is an example of what I shared this day. I started it with my youngest, that little girl of mine had gotten into my wife's lipstick. So I shared a picture of it. I went to work that day, and actually, this is right when COVID happened, because you can even see on the caption, my videographer was there with me. We were supposed to be traveling to Virginia, and the event was canceled. So I just shared a post about it. And then I shared a quote because I saw it somewhere else and I slapped my logo on it. And then I shared Warren Buffett's post because I thought this was interesting and I just thought it was funny and it was engaging. Basically just a post about saying how much money they lost. In other words, if you think your week is bad, look at theirs. Then I shared, my wife and I were out to dinner. She made a post and I shared it. And then lastly, I also put a question out that day, and I was just trying to drive engagement. I just asked random questions. I actually have a virtual assistant who does posting for me on Instagram now. It's about 25% of my content, because I just want the filler content and I don't have time for it. But as you're growing your business, you'll be doing this all yourself. I still post the majority of my stuff because authentic content is what wins, but I have her do stuff like this. This is literally a virtual assistant in the Philippines. So my biggest problem is sometimes grammatical errors, but she does a really good job. Let's keep moving on here. Here's another example of telling a story through your stories. So this is just an example. I have an iWatch. I compete. If you have an iWatch, you know about the physical challenge you can do with your iWatch. So I compete with friends. And so this particular day, I looked down on my watch and Ralphie is his name. He was beating me by a couple hundred points. And I knew I had to get some exercise in to pass him. And I knew I was going to. So I decided I'm going to create a story around it. And so as you can see here, I took a picture of where I was at 5:41 in the day. I said, uh-oh. And then I said, I better go burn some calories. So I took a picture of my watch, but also you could see my daughter. And then I got back and I hadn't burnt enough calories. So I said, not enough. But then I went and shot some hoops and I took a video of that. And then at the end of the day, I took a video of, this is a little video of, you can see it, showing that I beat him. And so I basically took something really stupid and simple. And I agree, it's very stupid, but this is what social media is designed about. And I told a story. I literally told a story to where you knew that if you clicked through, the whole point was I wanted you to keep clicking through, because now, as stupid as silly as it is, you were intrigued and you stuck with it. And that's the whole point. So tell stories. I see people do this like with birthdays sometimes. They'll tell somebody happy birthday, but instead of just saying happy birthday, they'll say, to my best friend, picture of friend, who's been there with me for blah, 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 another picture of a past photo. And then they just kind of goes on. It's like 4 or 5 photos that leads up to happy birthday to my best friend, blah, blah, blah. But it's kind of a way of engaging and getting people to go click through your stories. So that's stories. I'm going to jump over to YouTube. We're running short on time, so I'm going to fly through this. A lot of you know about YouTube already. These are some really good stats. If you didn't know this, there's over 2 billion users. Half of all viewers, I already mentioned this, won't subscribe to cable or satellite or any pay TV service by the year 2025. It's the third most, it's the third most visited site behind Google and Facebook, and it's the second largest search engine. but it's also owned by the first. So obviously everything's driven to YouTube. People spend more time watching video on YouTube than Facebook and Netflix combined. Think about that. I think a lot of you probably spend time on Facebook and spend time watching, like binge watching Netflix. Can you imagine? There's more people watching YouTube than both of those two platforms combined. That's how powerful that platform is. As you can see, 70% of users say YouTube videos influence their purchase decisions. I know it's done it for me. I'm sure it's done it for some of you as well. And this is awesome. The reason I share this stat is there's one word that will describe this last line. 9% of small businesses, all of you on this call, in the US use YouTube today. 9%. One word, opportunity. There's massive opportunity still, but that won't be that way forever. So get in sooner than later. This is really more designed for my real estate audiences, but this is just kind of an example, like a bullet point list when people ask me, what should I put on YouTube? And so this is just some examples and some things you could be doing: community content, listing videos, and then utilizing the features. If you know YouTube, you'll know what some of this means. I don't have time to go into it today. These are 3 agents using it at a very high level. Ken's in Orlando, Malcolm's in Baltimore, Karen is in Augusta, Georgia. All of them get the vast majority, if not all of their business from YouTube. That is their sole strategy. And so if you just wanted to go see an example, these are 3 great people to see. I know not all of you or any of you maybe are in real estate. So it's just an example. There are people in your industries that are probably crushing YouTube, but these guys are doing it at a very high level. And a lot of you, I will say this, real estate, I should have mentioned this earlier, real estate as an industry is ahead of most industries. Like Chris's industry is like archaic compared to real estate. Most industries are. Insurance is, car sales is, obviously any trades are. Most industries are behind the times. In other words, you being here today is a massive advantage for you, because you learning this, embracing it, and understanding it could put you so far ahead. Remember, the reason I'm here today, the reason I'm doing this all over the country is because I was that guy in mortgage 5 years ago. When people criticize me for doing this, I said, I'm forging ahead. I think this is the future. Most industries, there's very little going on in the industries, because if you do it, the first one is going to take criticism. You've got to get past that. You've got to ignore the noise and just forge past it, because I guarantee you it's coming. And so these are just good examples of people doing it at a high level. And if you execute it in your industry at a high level on YouTube, man, it could change your life. I mentioned I was going to tell you about everything East County. So Kyle Whissel uses this strategy on YouTube. This is just an example of, you can see, so he can see his analytics. So on this particular page, he's got 700 subscribers. He's had 98,000 views of his videos on 111 videos. It's crazy. And you can see total lifetime, last 30 days. There's a lot of analytics on YouTube that they also allow you to do. He's created playlists, which is really smart, which makes it easy for his audience to navigate his page. So if they go there and say, okay, I want to know what's the best part to visit in East County, which, by the way, they probably type that in Google, and then Google sends them to his page. Now he's the guy who's there, right? So he's kind of building his celebrity. He's got another one that's East County Eats full episodes. So these are full episodes of his restaurant episodes, basically, where he's highlighting restaurants. He's also got one called Food Porn, which is brilliant, by the way. But it's a snippet from his full episodes. So he takes something specific, like you can see here. There's probably a Bloody Mary, or there's a specific dish, and he highlights it. And you can see in the full episodes, let me go back. In the full episodes, you can see they were longer, and then he cut them down and just did what he calls food porn. They're 30 seconds to a minute. And then of course, he's a real estate agent, but notice it was everything East County, then it was East County Eats, then it's food porn. Oh, and then, by the way, guess what? I sell homes for a living. Just so you know, just in case you're interested. Very, very smart strategy what this guy is doing. Lastly, and Chris, if I'm okay on time, I'll blaze through TikTok. I know this is probably a new platform for most of you. So I'll just go through the basics here real quick. I'm really actually curious in the chat, how many of you have a TikTok account, number one, and number two, how many of you have heard of TikTok? So I guess that would be the first question. How many of you have heard of TikTok? Second, how many of you actually have an account? I'm really curious to know if anybody has. But just so you know, it's got 800 million monthly users worldwide. This is actually old data too. This is beginning of the year. They haven't updated their data yet. 41% of TikTok users are age 16 to 24. It's important to know, but I will point out that that 18 to 24-year-old age range is potential audience for all of us, no matter what we're selling. There's very few industries that would say I'm going to ignore that audience. It's the 6th largest social network. This was again back in January, February. It's probably leaped over a few of these platforms. It's the #1 downloaded app in 2020, and I think it was in 18 and 19 as well. And this is important. This is an app owned by a Chinese company. Don't let that scare you. It's not owned by the Chinese government. But if that's your excuse, then so be it. I'm not scared of it. I don't know who owns all of the apps that are on my phone, and they all have access to my data. It just is what it is. It's what we sign up for with smartphones. But there's 30 million monthly users in the US. That's important. It's probably closer to 40 million or 50 million now, but it's growing rapidly. And I point this out because, again, everybody assumes it's a bunch of 13-year-olds, but actually the largest US user base is 18 to 24, which is important to know because that's a buying audience. And these audiences down here are growing rapidly. 40 plus is growing, probably one of the fastest growing groups. It's coming. TikTok's coming. Just a few snippets on the platform. It's been around since 18, so that's how new it is. It's only 2 years old, which is crazy. I already mentioned 6th largest, 30 million. I mentioned that. This is cool. U.S. users spend, again, this is an old stat. It's probably more like an hour a day. The average U.S. user spends about an hour a day. The same amount of time they're spending on Facebook and YouTube, they're now spending on TikTok. So again, if that's not a place that you want to have to be seen, to have influence, to be relevant, you're kind of missing the boat. I mean, that's where I want to be. Again, the biggest U.S. audience, and then 60% is female. The moms are becoming very popular on TikToks. There's certain hashtags that are becoming very popular on TikTok. It's all built around short form mobile videos. The app is super sexy. Like when you open it up, it draws you right in. It's not like Facebook or Instagram or any other platforms, because when you open the app, it immediately starts playing a video, which is smart because it sucks you right in. It's all built around short form content. If anybody had ever heard of Vine or Musical.ly, it's a progression of those two apps. So Vine was popular about 5 to 10 years ago and kind of died. It was before its time. Then it became Musical.ly, which was all about music, and it was also kids, and it died. And now here's TikTok. I will say this, because a lot of people say, well, it's probably going to die like those. And I disagree. I just think those apps were before their time. TikTok has it figured out. Our world has evolved on social media, and our attention spans are the size of a gnat. And TikTok has that figured out. And so it knows that if you're producing 15-second content, your audience, when they see the TikTok watermark on your post, they're more likely to stay and watch it because it's not going to chew up a lot of their life. And it's also probably going to be somewhat entertaining. Also, you can use licensed music on TikTok. You can't do that on any other platform, but TikTok gives you access to 2 million plus songs that you can use, popular music. The editing features are absolutely incredible. I actually produce more video content on TikTok now than I do with my camera phone, with my video on my camera phone, because it's easier, because I can do everything inside of TikTok. So before, I had to shoot a video. Then I'd have to download it to my editing app. Then I'd have to edit it. Then I'd have to add, the editing was clunkier. On TikTok, you can do this all within the app. So something that would have taken me 30 or 60 minutes before, now it takes me about 5. Granted, I'm an advanced user, but you can become a semi-advanced user as well. You could become an advanced user if you want to be. It's just got amazing features, tons of filter options, literally anything and everything you can think of. TikTok has it. It's incredible. This is actually an old picture of my bio. My audience has grown to over 33,000, and it's growing pretty fast because the virality of the platform. I don't remember if I mentioned this in the beginning, but TikTok, it's really hard to grow your Instagram audience. If you can get into a platform at its infancy, your ability to grow a large audience is very doable, and it's very possible. And once a platform has been around for a while, it's very hard to grow a big audience. And it doesn't matter if I have 33,000 followers and 30,000 of them are kids, because you got to remember that you're playing this game of popularity here. So when the adults start adopting TikTok and they go to TikTok and they see, man, this Jeff Fitzer guy's got 50,000 followers, and they go to your page because you just now adopted it and you have 20, who intrigues them more? I can already tell you, the 50,000 follower, almost every single time. We as humans are intrigued by that. And so you're sucked in. You're like, well, shit, if 50,000 people are following him, I probably should follow him too. He probably does some good stuff. That person who has 20 followers, I'm sure they do nothing. I'm sure they're boring. And so that's really the biggest reason why I do believe in it. But I love it as a content creation platform because I create content, post it back to Instagram and Facebook, and get a ton of engagement. These are just some more statistics. I'm going to blaze through this. Here's a quick video. Chris, I'll play this, and then we'll pretty much wrap up. This is a video about, I created this. I created a ton of stuff through the Business Video School, but kind of how to become familiar with TikTok. So like, don't get in it and expect you're going to be creating high level content right out of the gate, but get into it if you want to and familiarize yourself with the app. So the sound might be difficult to hear, but I'm going to move my mic down a little bit. Play it. TikTok. You keep hearing about TikTok and how you should get on it and how you should learn it, and you've downloaded the app and you've gotten sucked in, but you have no idea what to do from there. Well, let me give you some tips on how you should familiarize yourself with the platform before you start creating content. Check this out. First things first, when you get into the TikTok app, it immediately opens up videos. So I can immediately start scrolling to what's going on my feed. But you'll notice at the top, there's a For You and there's a Following. So the For You is what the algorithm in TikTok thinks that I want to see based on what I engage with. And the Following is, of course, the people that I've actually followed, and it's showing their content. So as you're learning how to use the app, what I suggest that you do is you absorb, you watch content, you consume it, you learn what's going on, you see what's out there, make sure that you're specific as to what you want to follow. If you engage and watch a bunch of 15-year-old girls dancing around, the For You page is going to continue to show you a bunch of 15-year-old girls dancing around because it thinks that's what you want, right? So you need to tell the algorithm what you want, and you can search for stuff by using this Discover button down here at the bottom. You can go up here and type in real estate, or you can type in a certain person. You can see some of the things I've searched. That you can use that feature. Also, let's just say you're on this page, I'm on this Following, and I like the sound of this particular video, or I like the style of it. You can save this for future use when you're ready to create your own content. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on at the bottom right here where you see the record turning in circles. I'm going to hit that, which is going to pop up what the original sound was. So that way you notice that a lot of TikToks are recordings and people are just mouthing what the TikTok is. Well, I can click add to favorites and it's going to put it in my favorites, and I'll show you where you can go to find that. You can also click to like the videos. So let's just say here, I want to like this video. I'm going to click right here. So what I did was I clicked the little arrow here, which is like the comment button, and I am going to click add to favorites. So you see right here, add to favorites, and it's going to put it in my favorites. Now from there, I'm going to go to me down here at the bottom right, and I'm going to click on this little ribbon here. Oops, sorry. Which is going to pull open my saved videos. You can see the one that I just saved now is the first one there. I have a bunch of saved videos that I want to go back to and either copy or just use to create my own content. And you can see it can be hashtags that I've saved. I don't have any favorites there. Sounds. So as you can see, that top one, that same sound that I saved, now I can go use that. So in this case, if I click the sound and I click check, it's going to go into now where I can create my own TikTok. You see me now, and it automatically put that sound. See at the top of the screen there? It's scrolling, saying original sound. And that is something that you can be doing here to save also with effects. You can save effects. So that way you can revert back later. Once you learn how to use this stuff, once you get to the point where you feel comfortable creating your own TikToks, now you've got a bunch of saved content that you can go back to, revert to, and create stuff once you learn how to use this platform, which we will give more tutorials coming very soon. Hope this helped. Go consume TikTok content, save stuff that you want to use to create your own stuff, and get familiar with the platform. All right, so we'll wrap up here. That's my quick little idea. And again, this is recorded, so if you need to go back and watch that, I noticed, I was looking at the chat, a lot of people are familiar with TikTok, which makes me happy. I love to hear that, because if I would have asked you that 4 or 5 months ago, the answer probably would have been a little bit different. COVID has changed our world. These are a couple of quotes I love. People give in to the person they see the most. Pretty dang simple. Grant Cardone said that, and it's so, so true. If I see you more often, the likelihood of remembering you to do whatever it is you do is greater. So post more often. The moment, this is a good friend of mine in San Diego says this, the moment you become a somebody, the business starts to chase you. I always heard this and thought, yeah, that's like for big time influencers and stuff. And I've literally created it for myself, just this little old guy in the Midwest, which, you know, you guys can relate to what I'm talking about here. You know, when I go to California, which I do several times a year, most people barely know about St. Louis, right? We're barely on the map. But that's the possibility that social media has. You can create so much for yourself. And I know none of you have the goal of growing on a national level. Maybe you do. I didn't. It happened by accident. But it's true. You become a somebody, the business starts to chase you. And now my phone rings. It's literally, it's a joke anymore that I don't even follow up with leads because I don't have to. I know the leads that are interested in working with me because they follow up with me. That's what we all want to grow our business to. And if you had asked me a few years ago if that's how it would be, I'd have said you're probably smoking something. But it's possible. Lastly, your vibe attracts your tribe. So remember, I really drive home how personal, authentic content is really crucial. Don't be fake. Be you. If you're a goofball, be a goofball. If you're somewhat serious, be you. Like, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be somebody you're not. People can see that. And so be you, whatever you are. There will be an audience that relates to you. Doesn't matter who you are, what you are. You don't have to have the perfect body. You don't have to have the perfect voice. You don't have to have the perfect face. It doesn't matter. In fact, most people actually, that's why they like authentic content, because it's relatable. So you as women, the last thing I will say, and I do pinpoint women on this because I hear it all the time. I'm not getting in front of a camera unless my hair is done and my makeup's on. I get it, but I disagree with it because you're actually going to get more relatability when you're yourself. And you even mentioned that in videos saying, look, I'm not done up yet. Like, I wouldn't maybe just roll out of bed if you look like, something scary. But, on a weekend when you haven't dialed yourself up, you can even mention it and say, listen, I didn't dial myself up for this video, which makes me very nervous. And you'll watch. You'll actually get more engagement by saying something like that from a bunch of women who say, oh my God, I can totally relate. It's the name of the game. So remember, play the game. That's how you win. I share this slide again. Again, you guys will have access to this. If you missed it the first time, take a picture of it. And we will wrap up. Chris, if you don't follow me on the social platforms, here I am. I'm on all of them. I practice what I preach. All you have to do is search my name, Jeff Fitzer, spell it right, and you will find me. That's exactly what I am on all 5 of those platforms. So it's super simple. Awesome. So with that, I'll wrap it up. And if you got any questions.
Absolutely. Yeah, we do have a couple questions here, Jeff, and I appreciate all of that. So first things first here, what do you recommend? Are you able to pre-schedule posts on Instagram like you can on Facebook?
You can. There's certain apps for it. I don't use them.
Okay.
Because I practice the document, don't create. A lot of the content that I create from authentic. So again, so yes, you can. I've hired somebody to do that for me. And yes, you can. There are apps for it. I don't know them off the top of my head because I don't use them, but you can just Google it. You just have to be careful because if you do too much of it, it seems robotic. And I've heard of people's accounts getting shut down because they think that your account got hacked. And so if you do it, don't make it all of your content. First of all, that's not authentic. And frankly, you can't share authentic content pre-planned out. Right. I don't know what my daughter is going to do tonight that might be funny that I might share, right? Yep. And so that's the point. So the bigger thing you want to do is just get in the habit of being prepared. And I've kind of trained my family. They're used to it now, but we're always, my daughter's boyfriend turned 21 yesterday. They live in LA. I told her that morning, she's like, don't forget to wish Marcos a happy birthday. I'm like, no, I'm going to create a TikTok. And I got my phone out last night with a bunch of alcohol to create something funny for him. And of course, my wife's like, you're an idiot. I'm going to bed. But it took me like 10 or 15 minutes. And it was a big deal, but it was like, you know what? I could have driven to the store, bought a Hallmark card, sent it to him like most people would do. But I'm like, no, I'm going to do something fun. And that's my point is creating authentic content. It can't really be planned because I don't know
Right.
what's going to happen this weekend at the Lake of the Ozarks, but I'm going to sure as hell have my video camera ready because you never know.
Yep. No, I love it. I saw that TikTok. I was cracking up at it. So that was pretty good. What do you suggest as far as like sharing from business pages? So obviously you talk about businesses having pages. Do you kind of consider that part of the 10 to 20% of the business content you share is just sharing from the business page, or what do you recommend on that?
So your business page is going to be business content. There's no way around it. It's also why it's a relative graveyard because
Right.
business posts tend to not get engagement. Again, the reason why you create the business page is because you want to have credibility. So if someone's stalking you, there's a place they can go see stuff, right? The second reason is because you can boost, you could post, you could target, you can run ads. And then the other thing is people ask me this question all the time. So I have business, I have personal. If I post something to my business, or should I post that business post to my personal page? Because you just told me my business page doesn't get me any engagement, but I told you why you need to have a business page. And so I would always originate your business posts on your business page and then share the good stuff. Don't share everything, but share the good stuff back to your personal page. Because what you're basically doing is you're giving yourself a little quick promotion, a little quick commercial. It's a quick reminder. A lot of people aren't going to go look at it because it's probably boring. But if you're playing the game correctly, it's in their feed. And it's a subliminal reminder. That's right. That's what he does. That's what she does. And that's the name of the game.
Awesome. Somebody had asked, should you have a personal and a business TikTok or just one professional account?
There's differing opinions on that. My opinion is one. But listen, you're talking to a guy who is not in the mass, larger percentage. Not everybody agrees with me, but they can't argue with my success. And that's the difference, is that I can argue till I'm blue in the face because I'm actually having success as a result of it. So it's same with Instagram. I know a lot of professionals that have both, one of each.
Yeah.
They just don't believe in cross-pollinating. I do. Like, I want my audience to know who. I'm not doing keg stands, right? I'm not doing anything that's going to make people. I'm not spewing my political views. I'm not spewing my religious views. That's my personal opinion, because I know if I do that, I immediately divide my audience, right? So I'm not doing anything stupid personally. I'm just sharing my life because I want more people to like me. If they like me, they typically want to use me for whatever it is I'm selling. And that's the name of the game. So my opinion, TikTok or Instagram, I just have one.
All right. I like it.
It's easier too, by the way.
It makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
So much easier. Last question here. Jessica asked privately, does a marketing company have more of an edge or an obstacle promoting their business on the platforms, or is it about the same as other businesses?
I mean, they have an advantage in the sense they probably have some really creative brains doing stuff, but I know a lot of individuals, myself included, that come up with some pretty creative stuff. They have budgets, to run ads, but so do you. No, I would say no. I mean, other than they might have brand awareness, but again, if you do a good job doing what I tell you to do, you become that brand. You are the Coca-Cola, you are the Nike. That's the thing. A lot of people, you hear the word narcissist a lot, right? Like, I'm a narcissist, I guess, by definition. I'm not. This is not something that I was comfortable with in the beginning. I've just learned to embrace it because Nike is a narcissist. So is Coca-Cola. So is Pepsi. So is every brand, because that's the idea, right? I'm not a narcissist because I'm enamored with myself. I'm a narcissist because I'm enamored with growing my business, and one leads to the other. And so I just got over it. I actually made a video about that to say, you're not a narcissist, and here's why. Because some people just get caught up in that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jeff, I appreciate it. Guys, everybody that's on here, like I said, if you don't follow Jeff on social media, check it out. One thing I love about Jeff is he posts a lot of content to give value to people so we understand how to really utilize this stuff. So I appreciate that you do that. So check him out, follow him on everything. Get a TikTok if you don't have one. And we are recording this too. So I am going to, here within the next week or so, get this all put together. get it on our YouTube channel, and then I will send out the link to everybody so you guys have access to it. You'll see it on our social stuff as well. So go back and rewatch it. Like I said, Jeff really leaves us with some good ideas on how we can utilize each specific platform, the 80-20 rule, and 3 times a day on a story, 1 time a day on the feed, and all that stuff. So go back and study and rewatch this. I know there's some people that couldn't plug in that were pumped that we were recording it just so they could go back and study some of the stuff that you covered today. So Jeff, again, thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking some time out of your day to be here with us. It was super beneficial. I appreciate you doing it, and hope everybody has a great rest of the day.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.